let's see if I'll make sure I'm right about that. Yep, Sunbite 9. Greetings, folks. Welcome back. Great to have you. El Rushbo. The all-knowing, all-caring, all-sensing, all-feeling Maharishi. Here on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. Telephone number is 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Look, folks, very simply, the football stuff, the NFL ban, all that, I just cherish freedom. I cherish liberty. It's under assault. That's what's under assault. We can't eat what we want. Well, there's an attack on it. Even this Chick-fil-A thing was political. You know, when Rahm Emanuel and the mayor of Boston stand up and say that Chick-fil-A doesn't represent Chicago, it's a political statement. And it's designed to rally the base. Dan Cathy, the head honcho of Chick-fil-A, he's not making a political statement when he talks about the values that the company believes in. It gets interpreted that way because the left has politicized gay marriage and so forth. And so they recognize it or they think it's a threat. So now Christianity has to be banned. And that's where this is all headed. All this stuff with Chick-fil-A, what the target is Christianity, not Chick-fil-A. The target is freedom of religion, Obama and Obamacare. The target is always freedom. When we're talking about liberals, the target is always freedom. That has to give as the government gets bigger. That's not even arguable. What reason for there is for government to get bigger, if not to police things, including thought? Fix things, police things, administer things, regulate things. All of that is you might not want to call it an assault, but it's all aimed at freedom. Pure and simple. And any activity that rewards freedom, any activity that freedom plays a profound role in, particularly as something that's successful or good, is an enemy. You might laugh at this. You go to any major football game in college, professional level, national anthem, American flags everywhere, flyovers of American jets, I guarantee you that rubs them wrong. Guarantee you. They get agitated, but I'm talking about liberals and the left. They get irritated at wanton displays of patriotism. What was it the Boston Globe told us? 4th of July is for Republicans? Showing the flag is for Republicans? They politicize everything. Frankly, I'm not speaking to you as a football fan on all this. I'm talking to you as a very credible, accredited, competent, cultural, and political analyst, and I'm telling you what this is. They want to tell us what we can and can't eat. They want to tell us where and how we can and can't play. They want to tell us what we can and cannot drive. They will eventually tell us where we can and cannot go. They do not want us to be able to protect ourselves if we use guns for that purpose. This is the latest manifestation of their attempt to grow government, which has a byproduct, and that is the loss of freedom. Pure and simple. That's what alarms me, because I believe in freedom. We all do. It's something I think that is taken for granted in terms of the role freedom plays in the greatness of this nation as founded, because we're born to it. We just assume it. But some of you and I are very adept at recognizing when it is threatened. It was U.S. News and World Report, and it was July 20th of last year. U.S. flag only boosts GOP. That's the story. Just a brief exposure to an image of the American flag shifts voters, even Democrats, to Republican beliefs, attitudes, and voting behavior, even though most don't believe it'll impact their politics. This was a 2-year study published in the scholarly psychological science. And this 2-year study revealed that a single exposure to an American flag resulted in a significant increase in participants' Republican voting intentions. Patriotism. That's why this stuff alarms me. Football can't be fixed. It's killing its players. It can't be fixed. Right? And unwitting people who love the game, who make their living from the game, are going to get bamboozled by this. And these unwitting people are going to end up carrying the water for the people who want to ultimately have the game regulated by government. They're going to think that's a good thing. Liberal sports reporters are going to think ultimately it's going to be a wonderful thing. The thing is, I never had a doubt once this all started that it was going to happen. I am stunned at how rapidly it's gaining momentum. By the way, from the Washington Examiner, Nancy Pelosi is backing up Harry Reid and his baseless accusation that Mitt Romney hasn't paid taxes for 10 years. Pelosi did an interview in the Huffing and Puffington Post on Sunday, and she said Harry Reid made a statement that's true. Somebody told him it's a fact. Whether he did or cannot easily be disposed of, Mitt Romney can release his tax returns, show whether he paid taxes. Harry Reid, this is Pelosi speaking. Harry Reid's a person who is, as we know, A, a fighter. B, he wouldn't say this unless it was true. Somebody told him that. It's hilarious. Pelosi, she's never going to stretch the boundaries of an IQ test. And I've got conflicting reports. There's one story that says the White House is not supporting Reid, another story that says that he is. So I don't know, but I don't need a story. I know exactly where the White House is on this. It's their idea. This is probably Axelrod's idea. Let's go to the audio sound bites. Starting with Bob Schieffer, Face the Nation, yesterday morning. He was saying that, he was talking about this. Let's just listen to Bob Schieffer.
Isn't this kind of like Joe McCarthy back in the era when he said, I have here in my hand the names of 400 people in the State Department who are communists? It turned out he didn't, and he was saying the way to prove that they're not is for them to come forward here. I mean, asking somebody to come forward to just because there's been an unsubstantiated charge, that's a little thin to me.
Yeah, now when you start losing Bob Schieffer, what, Snerdley, what? Well, here's the thing, though. To a guy like Schieffer, Joe McCarthy's worse than Satan himself. Joe McCarthy is worse than Count Dracula seeing the cross. Worse than Nixon. Joe McCarthy worse than Nixon. So Bob Schieffer conflicted here because this is, in his mind, what McCarthy did. It's a little thin. He wants so badly to dive into this, but it's just a little thin because of its close proximity to McCarthy. Same show. Bob Schieffer had as his guest former Governor Ted Strickland, a Democrat from Ohio. And Schieffer compared Harry Reid to McCarthy, and Strickland reacted.
The American people deserve to know what is in his tax returns. His father, as we all know...
So you're saying maybe that's not true, that he hadn't paid any taxes.
But you have said maybe he didn't.
I'm
not accusing him of anything except what he is doing invites speculation, quite frankly. The people want to know why he has his tax returns.
No, they don't. Nobody. There's not a person. There's not a normal person anywhere running around talking about this. Not a single, by normal person, I'm talking somebody that is not politically oriented. The American people are not chomping at the bit here to have this question answered. It's purely, totally fabricated. The media knows that it's been fabricated. It's a lie. But they're fascinated with the game. State of the Union, CNN Sunday morning. Candy Crowley interviewed Robert Gibbs, the former White House press secretary. She said to the propriety of the leader of the Democrats in the Senate accusing, based on a source, the presumed Republican nominee not paying any taxes for 10 years. Is that something Chicago has encouraged? I mean, do you want Harry Reid to stop, Mr. Gibbs?
I don't think anybody controls Harry Reid.
But if you asked him to stop, he would.
You know, again, put the tax returns out. Put this whole thing to rest. Candy, have you ever seen anybody go to such great lengths to not put something out? And when you generally don't put something out, isn't it because you're generally hiding something?
You will not tell Harry Reid to stop.
I would tell Mitt Romney if he wants all this debate to go away. And let's be clear, Harry Reid isn't the one who's made this debate. Mitt Romney has brought this to the fore. This has been something that has been talked about well back into the Republican primaries.
You see how this works? Romney, it's his fault. He's the one. He didn't release tax returns. He didn't release the tax returns that Democrats want. Harry Reid's never released hers. Pelosi has never released hers. Debbie Wasserman-Schultz has never released hers. That doesn't matter, they say. They're not running for president. I'd like to see Harry Reid's. I'd like to know how a guy earning $193,000 accumulates $10 million in net worth. I'd like to see how that happens. In such a relatively short period of time, because he hasn't made $193,000 when he was not the majority leader. Not every senator makes that much. Anyway, this is laughable. But that's all they've got. They can't talk about Obama. They can't sing any of Obama's praises. There aren't any. So they've totally manufactured the story that Romney's hiding his tax returns. And that Harry Reid's got this imaginary friend that told him at Bain Capital Romney didn't pay for 10 years. And now that's out there. So Romney's got to prove the allegation is false. That's who half the country votes for. This kind of irresponsible, shameless thuggery. That's who half the country votes for. You know, I have in the stack here, Charles Murray wrote a piece. And where did it appear? I think it might have appeared at National Review. Capitalism, it's not a dirty word. It basically it prints to 4 pages. How in the world did capitalism, which built this capitalism is solely responsible for the wealth of this nation and the wealth of every nation on earth. And so his piece, how in the world did it get such a bad name? It wasn't that long ago that capitalism was, if not specifically taught, it was the practitioners of it, and everybody involved were praised. Now the capitalist is the enemy of the country, and Murray it's I guess the Wall Street Journal, and Murray is trying to figure out how in the world did this happen. And he's got a couple of interesting theories. One theory is that people do not understand how the capitalists on Wall Street make money. That people don't understand how the movement of money in financial markets benefits anybody. It's beyond their ability to comprehend. So they think of it as an insider game with a bunch of 1%ers playing in a stacked deck that only benefits them. The second theory he has is most interesting, and it is that liberal capitalists are scared to death to admit that they are capitalists. And he talks about people like Buffett and Gates and Hollywood capitalists that are simply afraid to cite it for political reasons. Let me take a break. And I'll give you more specifics of what Murray writes about this, because it's timely. Sit tight, folks. Much more straight ahead here on the EIB Network. Don't go away.